I'm really glad you're all here. I know probably most of you are actually just here because you're out of absences, but I'm still really glad that you're here. I have spent a lot of time in prayer about this chapel and what should be said. And the message that I have for you today is something that I feel has really been put on my heart to share. So I'm extremely nervous. So if at any point I just turn around and don't face you, that's not meant to be offensive. You all look lovely today, but you're very intimidating collectively. So if I turn around, I'm just really nervous, and that's why. How many of you are familiar with Humans of New York? Just a show of hands, yeah. Okay, so a lot of you. For those of you who are not familiar, Humans of New York is this guy, Brandon Stanton, who goes around New York City and takes pictures of humans, weird. And he will take a picture of their outfit or their shoes or just their hands or something to kind of give you a fleeting impression of that person. He'll pair it with a caption, something that they said or something that was striking about them, to give you an impression of that person, what their life was like. So this particular photo, there's kind of a thing in the way, but this is one of the first that I ever saw. And I don't know why, it just has really stuck with me. So this lady said, people always say be true to yourself, but that's misleading because there are two selves. There's your short-term self and there's your long-term self. And if you're only true to your short-term self, then your long-term self will slowly decay. I don't really care about the first sentence of that quote, but I do really want to hone in on the idea that there are two selves, and specifically focus on that idea that there is a self that this lady referred to as long-term. So we all have a physical self. It's tangible, you can feel it, you can see it, you can touch it. It's very physically tangible. But then there's this other self that it's not tangible, you can't see it, it's not visible, you can't touch it, you can't feel it. So everyone kind of has a little bit of a different idea of what this is, I think. Some people might consider this their higher self or their emotional self. You may identify with someone that may be your long-term self. For some, it might just be what you consider your character. And then for others, this could be very deeply spiritual. This might be what you consider your soul. So for the purpose of today's chapter, I'm just going to refer to this as the intangible self, but when I reference that, go ahead and translate that into whichever of these you identify with the most, because I think everyone probably in here has a little bit of a different definition. In 2 Corinthians 5, Paul says, so from now on, we regard no one from a worldly point of view. Though we once regarded Christ in this way, we do so no longer. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has gone, the new has come. And I've heard the second half of this verse a lot. I feel like we use it a lot, and we should. It's beautiful, but the first half I think we overlook a lot. That statement that we regard no one from a worldly point of view. We regard no one as their physical form. We regard no one as their physical self, but rather as their intangible self. And so not only are we viewing ourselves this way, not only are we viewing ourselves as higher beings, as something intangible, but also when we look at other people, we perceive that in them. A lot of you are probably familiar with this quote by C.S. Lewis or George MacDonald. We regard no one, oh, not that. You do not have a soul, you are a soul. What you have is a body. I think that pretty much sums it up. What you are and what you do are not the same thing, and I don't have to stand up here to tell you that. You guys know that you're not the things that you wear or do or have or say. The very core of who you are is not tangible. It's not something that we can physically grasp. So there's these two sides to us. There's two forms, and the truest form of you is not physically tangible. And athletes and performers, you guys know this better than anyone because constantly you're being asked to put mind over matter so that you can perform to the best of your abilities. Even when you're not physically training, you're watching film or watching someone else who's practicing the same craft as you, and that's a mental sharpening, that's you strengthening your inner self. It's a conscious decision that you've made to grow and to feed your intangible self. So I'm going to share with you guys this Cherokee parable. It's kind of super Cherokee. I think this really helps illustrate the concept of two selves. So there's a very wise old man, and he's speaking to his grandson. He tells his grandson, "In my heart, there are two wolves. They live there, they battle every day. One wolf is very good. He is pure, he is full of light and kindness and love, and he's just every good thing. And then the other wolf is full of darkness and evil. He's hateful, he is greedy and selfish. So these two wolves live in my heart, and every day they battle with each other, and the fight is sometimes very, very terrible." So this information is obviously all very alarming to the little boy, and so he asks his grandfather, which wolf is going to win? His grandfather replies, "The one that I choose to feed." So I guess if I'm posing a question today, it would be not necessarily which wolf are you feeding, but which self are you feeding? Are you feeding both? Because both certainly need to be fed, yes, but are you feeding your intangible self? And are you feeding your intangible self with the same urgency that you feed your physical self? Think about how many times a day you need to eat. Like, I know for me, I can barely make it through my 11 o'clock class without thinking that my stomach is going to collapse because I'm so hungry. But I don't feed my intangible self with that same urgency. I don't see my intangible self as needing food that often, but our physical bodies need food and attention multiple times daily. That's not a secret, and I think our intangible bodies are no different. I think they need just as much, if not more, attention and food and nurture. You don't see like a young couple, when they first have their baby, they don't just let it go for 3 days without food because they'll be fine. That does not happen, okay, because for one, you would go to prison, but also their parents are trying to help their baby grow. They're seeking that. They're expecting that baby to grow into a healthy child. That's what they want, and they want it to eventually grow into a capable and intelligent adult. So what you choose to feed will grow, and what you feed, whatever you're feeding, really matters. If you're exposing yourself to light and positivity and goodness, you will grow in those things. But if you're not choosing to feed yourself light, then light's probably not there, and if light's not there, then what's there is darkness, and that's what you're going to eat. People are kind of like sponges, and we soak up what we're around, but I think that our physical bodies are that way, but also our intangible selves are that way, and we soak up what we're exposed to. So, are you filling your intangible self with good things? I just have a couple of verses here that I want to leave you guys with. 1 Timothy 4:8 says that for physical training is of some value, but godliness has value for all things, holding promise for both the present life and the life to come. In 2 Corinthians 4:18, so we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but on what is unseen. For what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. And I know that not all of you really believe this, and I know that this maybe doesn't mean anything to a lot of you, but I know that there is another self, an emotional, long-term, spiritual character, what have you, call it what you will. There is an intangible side to every single one of you. So I urge you to nurture that and tend that and feed that and to make a choice to expose that to light and positivity and purity on a daily basis, because that is the very core of who you are, and it is the purest form of you that exists. So that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you.